Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Kemper Creative Learning Studio here at Exploration Place. We're sad you can't be here with us, but we're bringing you another one of our favorite live science shows. That's right, it is time for Discover Flight. Today we are going to talk about all about what it takes to fly in an airplane. Now, how many of you at home have ever flown on an airplane? All right, very good. I see a couple hands out there, very good. Now, how many of you have ever flown inside the airplane with the rest of us? Yes, that's right. The jokes get no better than that. We all fly inside the airplane. Now, today, we're going to talk about the forces that it takes to make the airplane fly, but we're also going to be talking about the idea of a discovery flight. Let's call it that. A discovery flight is when you can go and fly with the pilot inside the airplane to learn what it's like to fly. Now, while we're doing that, we're going to have one of our volunteers, Brianna, and a pilot from K-State Salina who loaned us their plane and some av fuel so that we could go on a flight. You're going to see what it's like from that perspective inside the airplane. So let's go ahead and meet our pilot right now.
Hi, you guys must be my crew for today. My name is Kat, and I'm going to be showing you guys all about flying.
Yay, we're excited!
Whoa, not so fast. Before we get in the plane, we have to walk around it and make sure that everything is working properly.
All right, that's right. A walk around of an aircraft is a very important part of flight. We want to make sure that airplane is going to perform optimally. We also want to make sure that that airplane is safe to fly in before we start. So today, we couldn't fit an entire airplane here in the studio. So today, we're going to be using a radio flyer. That's right, a good old-fashioned cart. And our cart here, I checked the wheels over. I made sure that it was good. It should be good for our flight today. But what actually makes our airplane move? Well, we're going to talk a lot about a guy by the name of Sir Isaac Newton today. And one of his laws of motion that he came up with over 300 years ago was action and reaction. And that action and reaction is what makes our airplane move. So here on my cart, I have got this really cool fan. It is a really big fan. It's not my biggest fan, but it's a pretty big fan. We're going to take this fan and we're going to turn it on. It's going to blow air that way. What do you think is going to happen to our cart? Is our cart going to stay still? Is our cart going to go that way? Or is our cart going to go this way? All right. I guess we won't know till we try. So let's go ahead and plug it in. Everybody at home ready? And contact. So the air blades are turning, and as they turn, they're pushing against the air is pushing back against them, and we get an opposite and equal reaction, and our cart is moving across. Now, if I was to let that keep going, it would go faster and faster until it got to its fastest speed, but we don't have time or room for that today, so we're going to go ahead and take this cart off and put it right here. Now, that's also the laziest possible way I could come up with to move the cart from over there to over here. Now, with that in mind, let's check back in with our flight and see what's happening with our crew.
All right, now it's time for us to go fly. Oh, look, there's a plane taking off.
All right, here in the video, we can see the little orange cone that's there in the corner is pointing the direction of left on your screen, but our airplane in the distance there is taking off going to the right. I would have thought that an airplane needed to have the wind behind it to help it go faster, but it's kind of the opposite. We'll talk about lift in just a second.
Ooh, that was cool!
Now it's time for us to go do the same thing. Are you guys ready to fly?
Yes!
All right, so we're back here in the studio, and I've got my fan set up, and I need a little bit of power here in just a moment. We've got our plug, and now we are going to talk about wind speed. And to talk about wind speed, we need an anemometer. An anemometer is a tool that we use to measure wind speed. So in a second, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the fan. Then I'm going to take a little walking away from the fan, and we'll see what our airspeed was. Then I'll come back and walk towards the fan and see what our airspeed is. So let's start here. We've got 0. I need to turn on our fan. So we've got our plugs. And there we go. All right. I am standing, and I'm going to walk. Very good. Looks like I got 0.20. All right, very good. Now I'm going to turn around, and I'm going to walk back towards the fan. Let's get it all set up here. Here we go. And, oh, wow, it's already going pretty fast. All right, it looks like we got 7.68 on our anemometer. So we got 700 times more air hitting us in the front by walking into the wind than walking away from it. That would explain why an airplane wants to take off going into the wind and not away from it. We'll find out a little bit more about that in our next video in just a second. So, our airplane is getting ready for takeoff now, and as the airplane gets ready for takeoff, we're going to center ourselves on the runway. And now that we're lined up with center line, we're going to start giving the plane more power. So the throttle's going to go up, and as we start to accelerate, we're going to be going right down the middle of the runway. As we're accelerating, the plane starts to get a little bit lighter because we're starting to get more and more wind going over the wings and pushing on the bottom of the wings to get us airborne. Now, when we get going fast enough, the pilot can feel it. They pull back on the yoke, and all of a sudden, we're up in the air, and we are flying. That is fantastic. So you can see there, we can look out a little ways. We're going to continue to accelerate. We're going to continue to gain speed, and we're going to also continue to climb until we get to the altitude where we feel comfortable flying for that day. That day, you can see it was a little bit gray and cloudy, so we had to fly a little bit lower than normal. It was also kind of bouncy because it was really windy that day. So if you see any bouncing during our film, that's where it came from. Now, this lift idea is a really kind of hard one to grasp. So what we're going to do is I'm going to see if I can show you how air moves over a wing. Are you ready? Okay, first I need a wing. This is going to be the wing that I'm going to use today. This wing has got a special shape to it. This is an airfoil. We've got a curved top with a pretty flat bottom. And that curved top allows us to get lift from Bernoulli's principle. The air goes faster over the top and creates a negative pressure, which lifts our wing up. But we also get something from action and reaction. As the air hits the bottom of the wing, it pushes the wing up. Are you ready to watch the air go over the wing? Here we go. Watch close. Did you guys see that? No? You didn't see? Yeah, that's really boring, isn't it? What if we were to make it a little bit more fun? Let me see. What could we use? Some people use smoke, but the fire department doesn't like us to do that in the lab anymore. I've got an idea. What if we were to use bubbles and a little bit of wind? Now we've got our air flowing. Now if we put our wing into the airflow, we can see the air going over and under our bubbles. If we tilt our wing up, the bubbles go down, which makes our wing want to go, that's right, up. And if we tilt our wing down, the bubbles go up, and the wing wants to go down, the opposite direction. Very good. So once again, if our wing goes up like this, the wing wants to go up and the bubbles go down. If we tilt it the other way, the wing wants to go down and the bubbles go up. And it looks like I'm working on the set of the Lawrence Welk Show all of a sudden. Isn't that amazing? Well, hopefully you understand a little bit about how lift works now. So let's check back in with our flight and see how things are going.
It's so beautiful. Now we're going to turn. Keep an eye on the wing.
All right, we can see there the wing, back of the wing goes down just a little bit. Now, I've got a cool little model plane right here that we can use to talk a little bit about how that works, how we control the airplane once it's up in the air, because we can't just use a steering wheel and steer the wheels. That wouldn't work at all. So there's 3 different flight surfaces or control surfaces on the airplane that we're going to talk about today. The first and most basic is the ailerons. They're on the wings like this. So these blue things, when one goes up and the other one goes down, it allows us to roll. So let me see if I can show that to you. We go like this. We would roll this way, and if we tilt them the other direction, we roll this way. So they go in opposite directions, and it helps us to roll. The next thing we're going to talk about is back here on the back of the airplane, and that's the elevators. The elevators help us control lift, and they're these orange things here on the side. When we put the elevators up, it pushes our tail down and makes our nose go up. And when the elevators go down, the tail goes up and the nose goes down. So just like a real elevator, if the elevator's up, we go up. And if the elevator's down, we go down, just like so. The last control surface we're going to talk about today is the horizontal stabilizer back here on the back, our flap. And we're going to move it to the side, and it would push our tail, or we turn it this way and it pushes our tail the other way, and that controls yaw. So our three control surfaces control roll, pitch, and yaw.